Hello everyone, I am Dr. K. Shaktivel, working as an associate professor in Department of Triple Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. Today, I'm going to give you a video lecture on control system. Subject code is U18 TCWE 502. So first unit deals with introduction to control problems. So here is the content of first unit. So, introduction to control system, mathematical models of control system, control hardware and their models, transfer function models of linear time invariant system, open loop systems, closed loop systems, benefits of feedback, block diagram, algebra. First, introduction to control system. So the control system can thought as any system where additional hardware is added to regulate the behavior of a dynamic system. In other words, we can also say that a control system is an interconnection of components forming a system configuration that will provide a desired system response. So the block diagram which you are seeing here, so we are giving a input, so it processing that and producing as a output. It's nothing but an open loop system. Here the control system is represented by a single block in open loop system since the output is controlled by varying the input. A control system can either be a open loop or closed loop system. So an open loop system utilizes a controller or control actuator to obtain the desired response. So one of the best example for open loop control system is an electric toaster. A closed loop control system utilizes an additional measure of the actual output to compare with the actual output with the desired output response. So the measure of the output is called as feedback signal or feedback path. So this block diagram shows the closed loop control system. So we are giving a input signal that is actually to be compared with our output signal, and it will produce one accumulating error, that is difference between an input and output, which is given to the controller, and that controller will overcome that error and gives to the process or plant. Okay. Then it comes out to the actual response which is we needed actually. So whatever the actual output response we are obtaining, that will be measured by using a measurement device, and again it is given as a feedback to the input cell. Okay. Again this process will continuously working in the same manner. It will compare the input and output and produce a difference error signal, and the controller will start eliminate that error. It will goes to the processor or plant, then produce the output, actual output, what we needed, that we produce it here. So that is the difference between open loop and closed loop. So in closed loop, we have a feedback path. Okay. So a feedback control system is control system that tends to maintain a relationship of one system variable to the another by varying only variables. So here is the basic structure of control system. So we have a controller, process, plant, system like that. So measurement device is nothing but a transducer. So, that desired output is nothing but the system that follows the output along with the input signal to produce the desired output level. Next thing, process. That process is refers to the system we want to actually control. Okay. So it generally refers to a physical process which we can either model or measure. A transducer is nothing but the role of the transducer is to convert the output signal to an equivalent electrical system that facilitates the comparison of the output signal to the input. Error signal is nothing but this is an electrical signal, that is the difference between the desired and actual output signal. And the controller is the main thing. So this is purposely designed the system to modify the behavior of the plant. According to the error, it will be modified to the behavior of the process. Disturbance to the input or external. Uh, this is actually causing by environmental factors that will affect the plant behavior like wind, etc. So we can use control system for many industrial application. So here I quoted some industrial application. It's not only limited to the engineering discipline. We can naturally use for aeronautical, chemical, mechanical, environmental, civil engineering, and electrical engineering. There is no limit for engineering application. Next topic: mathematical models of control systems. The control system can be represented with set of mathematical equation, which is known as mathematical model. These models are generally useful for analysis and design of control systems. Analysis of control system means finding the output with known input along with mathematical model. So there are three types of mathematical model. So first one is differential equation model, second transfer function model, third one state space model. Along these three model, depending upon the application, we can use these three models for analyzing the control system output. So first one, differential equation model. Differential equation model is nothing but a time domain system which is to be used as a mathematical model for our control system. Differential equation has two types, that is classified into two types. One is first order system and another one is a second order system. So what are the topics which is here, which is we are seeing here is only basic. So we have more videos, more brief about these topics in upcoming units. So next one, transfer function model. So transfer function model is an S domain, that is it is a frequency domain mathematical model which is to be used for our control system. So transfer function of a linear time invariant system is defined as the ratio of Laplace transform of output and the Laplace transform of input by assuming all initial conditions should be zero. Example, if x of t and y of t are the input and output of an LTI system, then the corresponding Laplace transforms are x of s and y of s. So here is the transfer function models of linear time invariant systems. So it is the ratio of Laplace transform of output signal to Laplace transform of input signal, assuming all initial conditions to be zero. Let's take as example here. The system input is R of t and system output is C of t. Then its Laplace domain is R of s and C of s respectively, which means R of t is Laplace transform of R of s and C of t is a Laplace transform of C of s, which is used for input and output. Next, this is for time domain and the same thing which I am using for a system domain, that is S domain, signal domain. So that input is R of s and output is C of s. So that is the transfer function in systems with frequency domain. And the third block which you are seeing here, that is a transfer function for differential operator. Here the input is x of t and the output is y of t. The g of s is the transfer function of the system. It can be mathematically represented as g of s equal to c of s divided by r of s, which means transfer function g of s is equal to output divided by input. Here output is c of s and input is r of s. So the transfer function is given by g of s is equal to c of s divided by r of s. Next, time variant control system. So it is a control system where any one or more parameters of the control system may vary with time. For example, driving a vehicle. So purely it's based on our time. Speed of our vehicle is purely based on time. So it is one of the example for time variant control system. And the next classification is time invariant control system. It is a control system where none of its parameters vary with time. That means control system made up of some parameters like inductors, capacitors, and resistors. And next classification is single input, single output control system. It is a control system that has only have one input and have one output. That we call it as a single input, single output control system. And next thing is multiple input, multiple output control system. So it is a control system that has more than one input and has more than one output. That we call it as a multiple input, multiple output system. And next thing, it's nothing but open loop control system. It is a control system where its control action only depend on input signal and it does not depend upon the output response. Then we call it as a open loop control system. And next thing is closed loop control system. So it is a control system where its control action purely depends on the input signal and output response. So this is the block diagram for open loop system. So which I said earlier that open loop system it is a control system where its control action only depend upon the input signal and it does not bother about the output response. That we call it as a open loop system. Here that input is R of t which is given to the controller and the control signal is now u of t which is given to the process of our system and that process produces an output that we call it as a C of t. So we can use this control system for many applications. Open control system can be used for many applications. Examples, traffic signals, washing machine, and bread toaster. The major advantages of this open loop control system is simple design and it is easy to construct. It is very economical and easy for maintenance, highly stable operation. So these are the advantages of open loop system. And it has some disadvantages. The output response is not accurate and reliable. And this output response is purely based on natural parameters. It could be variable. So it's one of the disadvantages in open loop system. And the recalibration of the parameters are required then and there. Okay. On time basis, we got to recalibrate our parameters. And next, there is closed loop control system. It is a control system where its control action is dependent upon both input signal and output response. Okay. So here the block diagram shows the closed loop control system behavior. So here the input is R of t, which is normally given to the controller, and that controller will produce a control signal that is u of t, that is given to the plant or process of our system, control system, then it gives an output that we call it as a C of t. So from the output, we are taking a feedback loop, and through some using measurement device, we can measure that output response and give as a input signal to the comparator. The action of comparator is actually comparing the input and the output response, what we got from the process of our plant, is comparing both input and that feedback signal and producing one error signal. We call it as a E of t. Based on that error signal, our controller will take action and it produce that controlled signal to our plant. Based on that control signal, our process will be happen, and it's continuously repeating since our until obtaining our output system response, which we have already set it actually what we needed. The, till that it will process will continue. Next, here we have some of the examples for control closed loop control system. That is automatic electric iron, missile launcher, speed control of DC motor. These are the very few examples for control system for closed loop. We have many applications for this closed loop control system. Now we will see the advantages of closed loop control system. It is more accurate operation than open loop control system. It can be operated efficiently when the input or system parameters are variable in nature. So this is one of the drawbacks in open loop system. Here it is advantages in our closed loop system. Next thing, it's a very non-linearity effect of output response. It has high bandwidth of operation. There is facility of automation. Next thing, it can be calibrated time to time. Cannot be required recalibration for time to time. So this is also one of the disadvantages in our open loop system. Next, we'll see some disadvantages in closed loop. It's a very complex design and difficult to construct. Next thing is it's very expensive than open loop system, and it also very complicated for maintaining. It's a very less stable operation than open loop system. Next, we see about benefits of feedback. The output is returned to the input side and utilizes as part of that system input, then it is known as feedback system. Okay. So actually what we are saying in the closed loop, there is we have a feedback path which is taken from the output and given as an input to the given as input to our comparator, which will compare the input and output response. Okay. So for that purpose only we are using a feedback. So that is actually the output is returned to the input side and utilizes that system input, then we call it as a feedback loop. So feedback plays an important role in order to improve the performance of the control system. There are two types of feedback. One is positive feedback and another one is a negative feedback. So positive feedback, which is added to our in reference input. Here you can see the positive feedback block diagram. Okay, so that is which is added to our reference input R of S. The following figure shows that how positive feedback is connected from the output to the input side. So the concept of transfer function and the of positive feedback control system is given as T equal to G divided by 1 minus GH, okay, where T is the transfer function of positive feedback control system and G is the open loop gain, which is the function of frequency, and H is the gain of feedback path, which is function of frequency. Then we see the negative feedback. So negative feedback reduces the error between the reference input. That means R of S and system output, which is shown in the block diagram of negative feedback control system. Here, that arrow marks indicate as minus sign to the comparator. Therefore, it is called as negative feedback. If it is a positive symbol, then it is called as positive feedback. So the transfer function of that negative feedback control system is given by T equal to G divided by 1 plus GH, where T is the transfer function of negative feedback control system and G is the open loop gain and H is the gain of feedback part. And next thing, we're going to see about block diagram algebra. The block diagram algebra is nothing but the algebra involved with basic elements of the block diagram. This algebra deals with the pictorial representation of algebraic equation. Uh, Here we see two types of algebra block diagram connections actually. So one is series connection and another one is a parallel connection. There are one more type of connection is that first we will see the series connection. So series connection is also called as cascade connection. See in the following figure, you can see that two blocks having a transfer function named as G1 of S and G2 of S, which are connected in series. The input for the first block diagram is X of S, and it produces one output that we call it as a Z of S. That Z of S is only the input for G2 of S, that is second transfer function block diagram, and it produces the final output that is Y of S. Therefore, that Y of S is equal to G2 of S and Z of S. Where Z of S is equal to G1 of S into X of S, that is the first output of our first transfer function. Therefore, simply substitute the Z of S value in the first equation. Then we obtain that Y of S equal to G1 of S into G2 of S into X of S. So cascade series connection is it's nothing but finally we obtain the output in product term. That is the difference in series connection as well as a parallel connection. So in series connection, we are connecting a two transfer function in series manner, and the final output which we got as product term. In parallel connection, we will connect two blocks in parallel, and the final product output should be in summation terms. That is a major difference between series connection as well as a parallel connection. So, from the above equation, we are saying that we can represent the series connection of two blocks with a single block. The transfer function of this single block is the product of the transfer function of those two blocks, which is shown in the below diagram. That is, X of S is equal to Z1 of S into Z2 of S and finally Y of S, which means that transfer function is nothing but output divided by input. Therefore, Y of S is divided by X of S. And next thing, parallel connection. The blocks which are connected in parallel will have the same input. Here also we have two blocks, that is G1 of S and G2 of S, but these two blocks are connected in parallel connection. So for these two blocks, from the block diagram, we know that z of s equal to g1 of s into x of s. Then you have to substitute that expression in the previous equation. Therefore, y of s equal to g2 of s into g1 of s into x of s. Okay. We already know that z of s is nothing but a g1 of s into x of s. That only we are substituting in the below equation. Then we have to simplify the equation. We'll get it as y of s equal to g1 of s into g2 of s into x of s. Okay. So you should understood that we are doing a series connection, that is that two blocks are connected in series. That means it is a summation term, but the final output we are getting in a product term. Okay. So that is the difference between series connection and parallel connection. So in series connection, two cascaded blocks are connected in series and the final output is in product term. But in parallel connection, two boxes are connected in parallel connection and the final product term is product final output we are getting in a summation term. Okay, that we see in the next slide. So by comparing this final output with our standard form, we'll get the final output equation as y of s equal to g of s into x of s. Okay. Now you should draw the diagram for the above transfer function output. Okay. So that diagram represent as x of s is transfer function of g1 of s into g2 of s and the output is y of s. We know that transfer function output is y of s divided by x of s, which is represented in the block diagram. That means two blocks are connected in a series and we are getting a single block here. That is the final stage of our output. We can connect n number of blocks like this in series connection and we'll get the same answer in the final output, that is in terms of product. In the next slide, you see parallel connection. So parallel connection is nothing but two blocks are connected in parallel with the same input. Here the same input is x of s. This x of s only going as a input for g1 of s and g2 of s. But the output from the g1 of s is y of s and the output from the transfer function g2 of s is nothing but y2 of s. I am going to sum. I'm going to sum and compare these two output. Therefore, y of s is equal to y1 of s plus y2 of s. To just keep this expression, we are going to substitute this expression in the next equation. That is y1 of s equal to g1 of s into x of s and y2 of s equal to g2 of s into x of s. Okay. So this where I have written this expression mixed from the block diagram only. You can see this block diagram y1 of s equal to x of s plus g1 of s. And the second block diagram you can rewrite that expression y2 of s equal to g2 of s plus x of s. That only I mentioned here. So we are going to substitute that expression in the final term. Final expression is nothing but y of s equal to y1 of s plus y2 of s. Now we have derived that y1 of s and y2 of s value. We have to substitute that y1 of s and y2 of s in final output y of s. Therefore, final output equation we can write it as y of s equal to g1 of s into x of s plus g2 of x into x of s. So from the above equation, we can take the x of s as a common. Therefore, y of s equal to g1 of s plus g2 of s into x of s. Okay. By comparing this equation with our standard form, you just note the final expression as y of s equal to g of s into x of s, where g of s equal to g1 of s plus g2 of s. Okay. So this only I want to say the hint for series and parallel connection. So in series connection, our final output is in product term, but in parallel connection, our final output is in summation term. Okay, that means we can represent the parallel connection of two blocks with a single block in terms of summation. But in series connection, we are represent that series connection of two blocks in a single block in product term. Okay, you have to draw the diagram for the final expression what we are getting the series and parallel connection. Okay, so the transfer function of the single block is the sum of transfer function of those two blocks, which is given in the given figure that is given in the below. That is x of s is the input and y of s is the output, and the transfer function for the parallel connection is g1 of s plus g2 of s. Similarly, like in series connection, you can represent the parallel connection for n number of blocks with a single block. Okay, that is the main thing for a series and parallel connection. The transfer function of this single block is the algebraic sum of the transfer function of those all n blocks.